Oh yeah, hey guys, welcome to another boxing related video. Yeah, today I want to discuss a lot of topics with you which are basically all connected to each other, but it's basically about weight classes. It's about how the sport is evolving in corona times and in general. And maybe we should start with the weight classes, okay? So before we had the cruiserweight division, the two highest weight classes were the light heavyweight division and the heavyweight division, in professional boxing that is, okay? And people saw over time that there are guys who are naturally too heavy for the light heavyweight division, but also too small, too light for the heavyweight division. So to give them sort of a division where they can compete in naturally without making a too drastic weight cut or without bulking up too much, they introduced the cruiser division and said to them then to the boxers at the time, okay, cruise in this division until you feel ready to go up, to move up to heavyweight, and if you do not feel ready to, then you have your division and everything is fine. Now while people thought that this was one of the introductions that were not really that necessary, because there were times where a light heavyweight champion could also become a heavyweight champion. Floyd Patterson is a perfect example for that. He is in fact a two-time heavyweight world champion, although he's a natural light heavyweight, and he got dropped a couple of times against less good opponents basically, and that's simply because of the disadvantage he had physically. But in terms of his boxing ability, he outperformed them and therefore was able to capture the heavyweight world title twice in his career. So if you take him as an example, there was never really a need for a cruiserweight division, but some people then said, okay, to make the sport safer, we introduce this division and, well, give everybody basically a fair shot. Now, while the cruiserweight division is now widely accepted and everybody is sort of fine with it, it's not enough. There are talks now that they want to split up the heavyweight division into a heavyweight and super heavyweight division as they do in the amateurs. And this is basically the thing that is an absolute no-go, because the heavyweight division is that glamorous because there is no upper weight limit you have to meet. Like, for example, if you weigh 100 kg or if you weigh 200 kg, both people have the opportunity to share the ring together and perform about in the heavyweight division. So that is sort of the appeal of the heavyweight division. That is why it's so glamorous. That is why it's the most important division for the sport in general. That is the division that attracts the most people. And to split it up then into two divisions simply because people are getting bigger these days, because they have better nutrition, because they have better training schedules, because they have more science behind them, and of course because of performance enhancing drugs, guys. That is the reason why they are getting bigger and bigger. And as we are talking about performance enhancing drugs right now, I mean, there is, besides bodybuilding and powerlifting, maybe no other sport where you simply know that people abuse performance enhancing drugs for that matter. And that is of course the sport of strongman. And especially if you are at the very top of the sport, like Hafthor Bjornsson, like Eddie Hall, all those guys are not that big and that strong because they are naturally that big and that strong. No, of course they had to take stuff. Of course they had to juice in order to become that strong and that big. Why is there no heavyweight that weighs 160 kg fighting weight? Right? Why is there nobody? Because boxing is a sport that burns a lot of calories. You cannot hold that weight and be basically fight ready without taking any performance enhancing drugs. And now what they are doing here is they are talking about a division called the Titan weight division. Now let me go back a little bit. Of course, this was a professional fight staged between somebody, Hafthor Bjornsson in this case, who weighed in at 160 kg, and the other guy bulked up a little bit just to have a little bit more fat in order to be protected from Haftor's punches, who bulked up to 100 kg. But still there was a difference in 60 kg, and people would say, well, that's not fair, that is not good. Well, it's not fair because that's not Haftor's natural weight. Haftor is so heavy because he has been using performance enhancing drugs for at least a decade, like all the other pro strongmen do, and other pro powerlifters do. And that is a fundamental advantage when you come into such a bout. And it's not just that you are way heavier than you would normally be. It's also that you have way more power than you normally had, simply because you were taking those drugs for 10 years now, or even longer, who knows. And that is the thing that boggles my mind, and that makes me sick as a boxing fan, because I see that people are now starting to make a mockery of the sport. And I'm not against people coming into boxing from other sports, no, because this would simply just show the appeal of the sport in general. But I'm against basically cheating your way into the sport and promoting it then, or letting it be promoted as if you are some guy who could really make it, well, at the top of the division. And it's even more interesting and even more, well, ridiculous if you take a look here at this video. They brought in this gymnast, this little kid here, against Eddie Hall, who's basically, well, I don't know, 7 feet, no, not 7 feet, 6'2" or 6'3" tall, and weighs 160 kg right now. And this little dwarf, this little man here next to him. And of course, this guy here is the stronger one. That's not something that is very surprising. But what I find surprising is how people see themselves sometimes. And sorry for the ad, I will skip it. And that is something that really makes me feel disgusted, because yeah, of course you are strong if you are a strongman competitor, or if you have been one, and of course you will sort of in any way, shape or form translate your power into boxing. But again, how did you become so strong? And you want to compete in boxing while being still on performance enhancing drugs? Is that really what you're talking about? Now, as I said, they brought in this little man here next to Haftor, and he's simply punching him a little bit around. Now he's wearing the body armor, basically, and he's getting punched. And of course, they make it a little bit exaggerated, because I think he's sort of jumping backwards himself. Although I believe the punches are really hard, but I'm more disgusted by what Eddie Hall has to say here. Let's just see and hear what he has to say. So, did you hear it? He says, I dare say he hits heavier than or harder than any man on the planet right now. Now, first of all, this has to be tested, but second, that's a very, very brave statement to make, because you haven't really tested your punching power, well, in a fight, basically. And again, why are you so strong if you are that strong? Because you are using performance enhancing drugs, and you are still using them. Because otherwise, there's no way that you can walk around with 160 kg, even at your height, if you are a really full-time boxer, which you self-claim you are. So, yeah, that's basically everything I have to say about the topic right now, and see you the next time.